Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Glory Glory Man United podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Quinn. And Brushy's back with me again today to chat about United winning yet another FA Cup game. And we are unbeaten in the FA Cup since the final in 2023. And the train rolls on, even though it was yet another hideous performance, Brush.
Oh, it was disgusting, wasn't it? I'm sure we were both scratching our heads come the end of the game, not wondering quite how we made it through.
Yeah, so there's four main areas I want to talk about in relation to the game, and that's obviously the goals. Harry Maguire's offside goal with no VAR being present in the fourth round of the FA Cup. Xerxes getting another goal, which is always a positive, his fifth goal of the season. Then I want to talk about the debut of Patrick Dorgu and how that went, and the position that he played, which was a bit strange. Um, and also the impact of Garnacho from the bench, who got man of the match.
Hmm.
So we will start off by talking about Xerxes getting that equaliser. Real good striker's goal that you really associate with Xerxes. Garnacho obviously causing havoc down that right hand side for Leicester, pulling the ball back into the penalty area. Hoyland has initial shot, which is blocked by a defender, and then it's tucked away with a side footer by Xerxes out of the reach of the goalkeeper. So great to see him scoring for the first time since his goal against Tottenham just before Christmas in the League Cup. So him and Hoyland both suffered a long goal drought there. Hoyland's continues for now, but good to see Xerxes in the score sheet again, Brush.
Oh, definitely. And it goes to show that if you're in the right place at the right time, you will get goals. The goal itself, I thought it was somewhat fortunate the way it fell to him, but it's just striker's instincts, just positioning yourself and being available makes all the difference there. I actually thought the finish wasn't the greatest. He probably could have hit it a bit further into the corner, but that's just me nitpicking. As long as they find the net, I'm happy.
Yeah, he's a wee bit like Berbatov in the way he approaches the game, isn't he? People might say that he's lazy, but it's
Yeah.
just his style. And yeah, it was a very, very nonchalant to finish.
Hmm.
So Harry Maguire got the winner from Bruno Fernandes free kick, and it's fair to say that
Miles off.
about three or four United players are offside.
Yeah.
Um, and
It was
this,
an absolute nonsense. I'll tell you what, it saved us as well because the way that game was going, the last thing I wanted was another half an hour of that dross. Um, so I was kind of hoping we could avoid extra time, and we did. Very unfair on the opposition.
yeah, I think Van Nistelrooy summed it up in his post-match interview when he was asked about Leicester losing to a Fergie time goal. He says they lost to an offside goal, not Fergie time goal. And Amorim didn't like the Fergie time comparison either. He was
Yeah.
like, we're nothing like the Man United under Ferguson. So again,
Yeah,
with
it's about time we let some of those things lie.
yeah, it's. I think he makes another brutally honest point that United are
Hmm.
miles off what they were 10, 15 years ago.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it was a good header by Maguire, headed it down. Makes it difficult for the goalkeeper to save it and into the corner. But yeah, he's about a meter offside, and that linesman's absolutely appalling. I
It's
think though,
it's ridiculous. I don't know what he was watching, to be honest.
earlier in the game, he
Hmm.
gave a throw to United when
Hmm.
Ugarte just kicked it out of play, and the referee overruled him and gave the throw to Leicester. So that was a sign of things to come. And this tells you that what this basically shows you what the game would be like if there was no VAR. We've seen in the Newcastle Birmingham game where a goal was given, and we still don't know if it crossed the line or not. It was a bit like Luis Garcia against Chelsea in the Champions League all those years ago. It's basically a lottery when you don't use goal line technology or VAR or anything. And these officials are not good enough to get things right. And even when the officials were slightly better 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they still got things wrong. I mean, look at
Hmm.
Drogba's offside at Old Trafford in 2010. Makeda
Yeah.
punched the ball into the net in the same game, and both goals stood. So without VAR, we'd go back to just lottery football, wouldn't we?
Absolutely. And yeah, they have every right to feel aggrieved because, if we were on the receiving end of that, we'd be pissed. Yeah, and it shouldn't be happening. Decisions like that should not be happening at this level.
Yeah, and yes, VAR does get things wrong. There's certain kind of subjective decisions on
Mm.
certain things that most fans don't agree with when they give calls. They don't like the Wolves Arsenal, the red card for Lewis Skelly. Most observers wouldn't have seen that as a red, but
Yeah.
I think it was overturned in the end. But VAR
Hmm.
didn't overturn it at the time. But there are things like that that VAR get wrong in most people's opinion. But this silly stuff like why the ball's crossed the line or why someone's offside, this should be stuff that you should be getting right. I mean, this wasn't even close. Maguire was miles offside.
It was crazy. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't even a marginal.
And as you say, this could easily have happened to us at the other end of the pitch, and we
Yeah,
would have
yeah.
been furious. So
Absolutely.
I don't agree with what a Leicester fan said on X, which I totally disagree with, is that it's biased towards the big teams. No, this
Mm.
happens every single week in the Premier League, and it goes against big teams as well. So it's nothing to do with bias, it's just incompetence. So I'm not buying into that at all. Clearly, he only watches Leicester games if he thinks that, because I've seen look at
Mm.
my decisions went
Hmm.
against Arsenal earlier in the season. They're a big team, so I just don't agree with that analysis at all. But yeah, VAR is not perfect, but this is an insight into what life would be like without it. Because these officials are not good enough without technology.
They're really not.
They can't even get the most obvious things right.
Hmm.
And time again, every single game I watch now, whether it be United or not, there's goal kicks are given as corners, and corners are given as goal kicks. They just can't get anything right. I I think it was a Tottenham Liverpool if the League Cup semi final second leg. Um, Tottenham had a rare attack, and the cross from the Tottenham player on the left wing was slightly deflected, and then the Liverpool goalkeeper tipped it over the bar. Guess what? The referee gives a goal kick. So a deflected cross and the keeper tips it over the bar and he gives a goal kick. That's what you're up against. These officials are so
Hmm.
incompetent. It's unbelievable. And so I don't understand why there's no VAR to the fifth round of the FA Cup. Do you know why that is?
I have no idea. I have no idea why that is.
I know in previous years what they did was they had VAR from the third round onwards, but only in Premier League grounds, and some people
Yeah.
were aggrieved at that because they can't implement the technology in kind of League One, League Two grounds.
Hmm.
They're not going to just put it in place for just one game. So I can
I think that's
understand.
probably the reason, Carl. Is probably to keep it a level playing field because they can't introduce VAR to the lower tiers because financially, I don't think it makes sense. So they probably figured it's easier to just have a blanketed system where nobody has it.
And then it just turns into a farce then without VAR.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So they might have to look at that again. And look, it's Man United against Leicester in the FA Cup. Two Premier League teams should be VAR present, uh,
Absolutely.
and they need
I'll
it.
tell you what though, that first half, oh, I've had a better time watching paint dry. It was an atrocious first half.
Yeah, I've got to say it was awful and it was hard to stay
Yeah,
awake.
yeah,
The only positive from the first half was the debut of Patrick Dorgu, who played on the right, but
yeah.
and Dallo stayed on the left, which is hugely frustrating to myself and many others.
Yes.
Dallo was awful again, but Dorgu, I thought, despite him playing on the wrong side of the pitch, I thought
Hmm.
he was pretty decent. What did you think?
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was a decent debut. The only thing, obviously, yeah, like most people, you're crying out for a left wing back and someone to come and address that side, and he starts on the right. It gave me flashbacks to when we first got Jadon Sancho in. Everyone was like, "Oh yeah, he's the savior to the right hand side," and we started playing him on the left. So I hope it's not a case of that again. Obviously, Dorgu is very versatile. The only thing I didn't like is the fact that obviously, when he plays on the right, it's inverted in it. Like, just put a left footer on the left hand side for the love of God. I just think, with the tacticos out there in this day and age, they're trying to do a bit too much, which is why I thought in the first half we were terrible going forward. You can't have your tens and your wing backs all inverted. It's nonsense. It becomes very easy to deal with. So that's why it made such a difference when Garnacho came on because he was a breath of fresh air and he was taking it down the line. and attacking them directly. So yeah, I thought it was kind of nullified with Dorgu on the right, to be honest.
I've never heard of inverted wing backs before.
Yeah,
This is the first time I've ever seen it, and
yeah,
it
yeah.
didn't
And
work
it's
for me.
terrible. And it's terrible.
I thought,
Obviously, the young kid, he's quite versatile, isn't he? So funny enough, I've not actually seen him play left wing back. The 3 games I saw of him before he arrived, the first game he was on the right wing, and then the 2 games I saw just prior to his move, yeah, he played as a left back. But in a struggling Lecce team, who got battered 4-0 on both of those occasions.
yeah, I thought Dorgu was good in the circumstances, but I think
Yeah,
to get the best out of him and our team is to have
hmm
Dallo on the bloody right and Dorgu
yes,
the left-footed player on the left.
yeah.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know what that experiment was about. If we do it against Tottenham, then we're in trouble.
100%. And like you touched on there, Alejandro Garnacho was absolutely superb when he came off the bench. It
Oh,
was
he was
so
sensational. He was the only bright spark, and he made things happen. And I'll tell you what, that second half it was largely infuriating because every time he got the ball into the box, there was hardly anybody there most of the time. A lot of blue shirts as well, crowding everyone out. Um, and yeah, the one time more than one person bothered to turn up into the box, we scored from it.
Yeah, you make a valid point there. That was frustrating me during the game. Every Garnacho cross coming into the
Yeah,
box, apart from when Xerxes scored, there was like one red shirt in the middle, and
yeah.
he was pulling it across where the penalty spot is, and there's
hmm
nobody there.
There's nobody there. Yeah,
Xerxes outside the penalty area. He should be in there.
he should be
Yeah,
in there. Yeah, yeah. And look at the difference he made the first time he actually did that. Look at the difference it made. And then the other frustrating thing as well, Garnacho, he was probably fed up of nobody being in there. So the one time he decided to take it on, there was 2 people in the box, and it ended up being the wrong decision.
yeah. There was a couple of bad decisions from Garnacho taking on
Yeah,
the. He tried to shoot at the near post and hit the side net, and I think he should have scored at least once. I felt,
yeah,
but
definitely.
without him being on the pitch, he wouldn't have won the game. So it
Oh,
can't be.
absolutely, yeah, yeah. And there was some great defending as well on the Leicester City side. I mean, he should have had a goal. It took a little deflection, but it was going in. But for some unbelievable defending by was it Bowley? Oh, I forget his name, Coley or something. One of their centre halves. Yeah, miraculous last ditch attempt. And I thought he was going to score an own goal with it actually, but the clearance went off the top bar and bounced off.
Yes, yes, that's right. Yeah, that was a Garnacho chance where he should have scored. Rather
Yeah.
than, I think, rather than go for the dink there, he should
hmm
have went for power. I felt, and just
Yeah, yeah.
not
But
give the
even the
defender.
dink, I think, listen, 9 times out of 10, I think that goes in. It was just, unfortunate that that guy was there. Yeah, I'm not familiar with him. Yeah, I would have preferred it was Woot Fies, who we know is a walking calamity.
Yeah, so he cleared it off the line and hit the bar and went out. Yeah, so it was
Yeah,
a miraculous clearance. Easy, even
yeah,
his clearance could have ended up in the back of the net, but it didn't.
definitely. I thought it was going to be an own goal the way he hit it, but yeah, amazing stuff.
Yeah, so all the drama was in the second half.
hmm
You could just scrub the first half and forget that
Yep,
even
yep.
happened.
Oh, and again, unfortunately, we have to talk about the goalkeeper as well, Carl.
Yeah,
That
I was.
there's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse as to why that should have gone in.
Yeah, the defending was calamitous as well. Too
Yeah,
many people
yeah.
being
Oh, most
pulled.
definitely, most definitely. Like there was a calamity of errors leading to the chance, but there's no way your goalkeeper should be letting that in. No chance.
Like Maguire is the central defender of the back three, and he's pulled way out of position. There's
Yeah,
nobody in the middle, and the Leicester player is able to have a free shot, and then Onana makes an absolute mess of it. He trying
yeah.
to save it with his right foot. It hits the
hmm
post, goes back out, and just hits another Leicester forward and goes in. And yeah, Onana has to save the first shot, and
Yeah,
he didn't deal with it, and it's another it goes down as another error, another mistake, and this is not good enough. This
absolutely not.
guy cannot be our goalkeeper long term.
hmm hmm To be honest, I think if Bayern there wasn't out injured, he probably would have started this game.
Yeah, definitely. I have to say, I'd never heard of the goalkeeper who was on the bench. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
that's that was a new name to me. Uh, we obviously we're struggling for goalkeepers now. Where's Tom
Mhm.
Heaton? Is he injured as well?
I think he might be out as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so now we're it's bloody Onana is the only keeper we have.
Yeah, yeah, he's the only one we have. Yeah, got no other choice, unfortunately.
Oh no, we need to get a bang in their back for a Europa League campaign is important.
Yeah, no, definitely, because you can't. Yeah, because we're struggling in the other end anyway, so you really can't afford to give up goals in this manner. It just makes everything so much more difficult. Because that's the thing for me. When we go behind now, that's the concern. Because I don't really know where the next goal is coming from.
No, we don't. Yeah, there's so many games where we just completely draw a
Hmm.
blank,
Like
and we're
momentum sees us through and we take the lead, right? But when we go behind, it's up in the air.
look how
Um,
many games since the start of
yeah,
January that a defender has scored for United. Mm,
definitely. And I think the commentator said during the game as well. So it was a horrible stat. It was like United have lost 11 of the 14 previous Premier League games where they've conceded first.
Thankfully,
That's
it
a
was.
horrible stat.
Thankfully, it wasn't a Premier League game.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
thankfully.
The performance didn't shock me, despite how poor Leicester are, because it happened against Southampton as well. We were played off the pitch in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
game
yeah,
until
yeah, yeah. Sulemana was it? He was running Lenny Euro ragged.
I'm going to say it again. I'd rather play in any venue apart from Old Trafford this season,
Mm,
because either we're getting beat by no matter who we play, or else it's an awful performance against a relegation threatened team, and we just get over the line at the end.
yeah.
It doesn't matter who the opposition is. We're terrible at home,
Hmm.
and yeah, let's just play the rest of our games away from home
Mm.
because we gives us a
And
better
with the
shot to win.
manager as well, we need to start seeing him do the simple things. Like, don't overcomplicate things, man. Like, you've brought Dorgu in. There's no need for him to be on the right. Just address the main issues and see how it goes. I just feel like he's sometimes making it harder than it needs to be on himself.
And then when he was asked about it, he made some reference to a stat website. I think he was being
Mm,
sarcastic, uh, saying that Dorgu has. You'll see how many times he's played on the right and on
mm.
that website. And is this him going to start to be stubborn now? Please, please don't do that because that has got so many managers
Yeah,
sacked.
yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing. Just start doing the simple things.
Yeah.
And we know he's versatile. Like, he's not wrong, but you know, there's obviously a glaring issue that we need addressing. Like, just address that for starters.
So we've had no left back or left wing back for 18 months. We buy one and he plays him on the right.
Exactly. Same thing as with Sancho. Oh yeah, the answer to the right wing. Where do we play him? On the left. And then all
Mm.
those articles come out. Oh, he doesn't like to play on the right. That's not his favorite side. He prefers the left.
And you see how badly Dallo was struggling out there on the left.
Hmm.
He cuts in on his right foot. He plays the
Yeah.
ball across field and just gives it away. It's
Yep.
just shambolic. And you're not help. He's not. I don't think he's the greatest footballer anyway. But you're not
No.
helping the guy by playing him on that left hand side when he's right footed.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So the Garnacho performance just proves that what a disaster it would have been had we have
Hmm.
got 60 million for him and sold him and not replaced him and
Yeah. Yeah.
kept Rashford, who the manager didn't want. Thankfully, the opposite happened. Rashford went out on loan to Villa, who are
Hmm.
playing right now, and Garnacho stay improved his worth. So
Yeah.
that was not only does he need to stay for the rest of the season, he needs to stay well beyond that as well, because we
Hmm.
know that this version of Garnacho is only the beginning. This player is going to get a lot better if he's coached properly, and him and Amorim do seem to be getting on now. So I want to see Garnacho be at United for at least another 5 years before he goes to Real Madrid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's got he's got the determination. He's got the right attitude, and you saw that in his performance when he came on. So yeah. And then I wasn't a fan of the fee involved either, especially with Napoli. Like, there was no point in lowballing the offer and accepting that, because, like you say, he's only 20 years old. If that's the offer on the table, you can get that for him in 5 years' time anyway.
Yeah, to me, given his potential and his ability,
Hmm.
he's easily an £80 million footballer in today's market. So 45 million, piss off, absolutely no
Yeah.
chance. And getting a bit worried about the stories of the budget for the summer that we're going to
Mm.
have to start looking at getting players on a Bosman, and we're lining up all the players who are out of contract.
It's not the worst thing in the world. There's one or two knocking about that might be decent. I know Jonathan David is a free transfer in the summer, and I think he
Mm,
was top goal
mm,
scorer in Ligue 1.
mm.
Um, so yeah, there might be one or two of those kind of deals. But I guess a lot of it depends on our outgoings, right? Like even the guys that we've managed to shift, unfortunately, it's not as of yet on a permanent. They are coming back. So I guess until we sort out the futures of those players, we won't really know what's happening.
Well, we're gonna bank the 25 million for Sancho, and if we can
Yeah.
bank the 40 million for Rashford, that's a
Mm.
fantastic start to the June window. Um, Jonathan David, yeah, you brought me onto him nicely there. That would be an exceptional free transfer because in his previous two seasons he got 26 goals,
Yeah.
and this season he currently has 20, and we're in
Mm.
February. So there's a guy, I know he's playing in France, but not quite as strong as the Premier League, but he's consistently
A
scoring goals.
prolific marksman, and on a free transfer, you can't really go wrong, provided you don't give him like ridiculous wages. You know?
But I can imagine a goal scorer with who's available on a free transfer.
Mm.
United are not going to be the only team in for him.
Oh
That
yeah, absolutely not. You have to sell him on a project, I guess. You might even have to put a release clause in there to convince him.
Yeah, and obviously we tend to offer big wages, but will we under Ineos? Because we seem to
Under
be.
Ineos, I'm not sure. I think yeah, because if you just look at the pattern of everything they're cutting down on and players they're getting rid of, I think yeah, I think we are going to offer a bit more modest wages going forward.
Well, it's up to the likes of Jason Wilcox and Christopher Vivel to convince
Hmm.
him of the project, and obviously speak to Amorim as well. I'm sure,
Yeah.
if United are indeed interested in him, because yeah, his goal scoring record is phenomenal,
Hmm.
and I think he probably deserves a big move now. He also has 31 goals and 59 caps for Canada, which is pretty good going as well.
Hmm.
And he
Hmm.
is still only 25 years old. He just turned 25 in January.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And listen, on a free as well, you can, provided you don't give ridiculous wages, you mitigate any risk as well. Even if it doesn't work out, you can sell him on at a profit, which would be new territory for us.
So when we're watching the World Cup in 2026, which he will definitely be playing in if he's not injured,
Mm.
hopefully, if he's a Man United player, I'll be delighted about that. But there's so many good strikers out there now that are enticing me. I'm always keeping an eye on the big name strikers around Europe, see how they're doing.
Benjamin Sheshko did well today. Goal and
Yeah,
an assist for him in today's game for Leipzig. I
yeah.
will be checking out the highlights later.
His goal scoring record gets better with every season. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah. It was him and Xavi Simmons. It was yeah.
mm.
Goal and assist by each of them today. So they both helped each other.
And then of course there's Victor Osimhen and Victor Gyökeres as well. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
imagine that United are going to sign one of those four players in the
Mm,
summer. I hope so anyway. And it's
yeah, it'd be
important
real
that we do.
interesting.
And you talked about using Hoyland as a make weight with Leipzig if
Yep,
you go for Sesko. So
yep,
that
yep.
would be
I
an,
think Leipzig are the perfect club for him.
yeah. I hope they see it that way as well. 'Cause it's just
Just
not.
in terms of project strikers and developing young talent, I think the Red Bull Group have got a firm grasp on that. So yeah, I think that would actually be a very good landing spot for him.
Yeah, he's not doing the things that he's good at anymore,
Yeah.
and he's lost his confidence. The thing
Hmm.
he should be running the channels. That's what
Yeah.
he's good at. Look
I
at the
mean,
goals that he got
yeah.
by doing that.
Yeah,
And
you might remember Alexander Solos, who didn't work out for him at Crystal Palace, and he was at Leipzig, and he's at Atletico Madrid now. So yeah, they've got a proven track record of developing players.
yeah, yeah. If Hoyland's still in the same position he is now at the end of the
Hmm.
season, then we have to think about maybe moving him on and
Definitely.
using him as a make weight or else using him to
Yeah,
get cash in because
yeah, yeah. Because I
he's
don't think it
struggling.
can be just a straight sale because then on the books, it's a massive loss. I don't think we recoup any of that
He's
really.
one thing we have to acknowledge, and it's not good enough in the Premier League, is that
Hmm.
he's really bad with his back to goal.
Yeah.
And when the ball's played to his feet, when he's got his back
Hmm.
to goal, he's got a defender up his arse. He just cannot hold it up. It
Yeah.
seems to just bounce off his legs, or else he just loses possession. He gets out muscled,
Hmm.
and that's not going to work, in the Premier League. So he's not improved on that whatsoever, and
Definitely.
that's a key skill as a centre forward in the Premier League. Like do you remember Mark Hughes and Eric Cantona and Teddy
Mm.
Sheringham? All those how good they were at holding the ball up. Van Nistelrooy, of course, as well. And you know, M- Rasmus Højlund is that's a key thing that he's missing from his game. And
Mm.
yeah, all these tussling with he's quite a big guy, Højlund, but he seems to get bullied quite a lot by defenders, and it's worrying. It's just not
Hmm.
happening for him. Even the things that he was doing well this time last year,
That
he's
could
not
be a
doing them.
confidence thing as well.
Yeah.
But again, this, it's a very brutal environment. This isn't the place where you go and, learn and try. It's not a stepping stone. We're just throwing him in at the deep end. He needs the kiddie pool.
Look how confident he was. Remember he got those two goals against. I know he was Premier League Player of the Month for February
Yeah.
last year, and he scored in every game until he got injured prior to the Fulham game. But he
Hmm.
got those two goals against Luton, and one of them he was in. I think one of them there was a ball was given away just over the halfway line. He ran clear and scored, and then 2 minutes later, I think he scored with his chest. He used his
Mm.
chest to. That's how confident he was. I think the ball it must have been like a ball came in from a corner or a set piece, and it was deflected into his path, and he used his chest to kind of put it into the net. It was a
Mm.
very I don't know if you remembered it, but it was a very confident finish, and
Yeah,
he's got
yeah. No, we've seen elements of extreme confidence, but it's not working out for him.
Mhm. Yeah, he's struggling, and if the manager doesn't fancy him, then I can understand why. I'd
Yeah.
be, could you see a situation where Ineos and the manager would be so brutal as to get rid of Xerxes and Hoyland in the summer window?
I wouldn't put it past him because again, I look at Zerks and again, he's got qualities, but is it best suited for this team and what we're trying to do? I don't know. I think we could do with a new 10, to be honest, a proper 10. Like, because I'm seeing Cobby being pushed forward, but you can see his limitations in the forward position. Like, technically, he's just not there yet. I don't know if he ever will be. Like, because his touch is quite heavy as well at times, and you need to be very creative, and the ball needs to stick to you like glue in that position. Because you saw it even against Leicester City. He tried to do one or two things and he just couldn't get past the defender. And you need to be a bit more mobile when you're a 10,
People say he's not a six either, so
an 8.
an eight. But this manager doesn't really play eights.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. And then the midfield balance is all off when he's next to Ugarte. So Bruno has to be the one that comes deeper, and then he has to push up. So yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum in the middle of the park for me.
Uh, and while we're talking about it, I'm getting that worrying feeling that if they don't find a place for him in the team, I know
Mm,
the caveat to that is that Amorim consistently talking him up uh,
hmm.
as a 10 and thinks he can play in that position, and he started the last few games. But
Yeah.
the pure profit uh, phrase comes to mind when talking about Manu not fitting
Mm,
into this system, because if we got a big offer for him in the summer, I could see Ineos accepting that.
mm,
However, Amorim insists that nobody comes or goes without him saying so.
hmm.
So that's important.
Yeah. For me, the fact that he is homegrown, I'm hoping that would prove that they give him every opportunity possible. But yeah, you never know.
I suppose what would happen if a big offer, say 80 million, for argument's sake, comes in,
Mm,
and they're thinking about it, and the manager will have to decide whether does he love the player enough to reject the 80 million, or does he think I could use that to rebuild my squad and my image?
Hmm.
So that's a decision that needs to be made, you know.
Yeah.
But us as fans are kind of, especially United fans, we're so romantically attached to academy
Hmm.
graduates, especially ones with such ability like Manu,
Yeah.
that we wouldn't accept any money for this player. So we would rather
I
see
mean,
anybody.
everybody. Yeah, I mean, everybody has their price, right? But yeah, you don't like to see academy graduates going, especially not before we've seen the best of them. You know.
Yeah, because how humiliating would it be if I know probably not going to sell both of them, or maybe not either of them, but
Mm,
if we sold Garnacho and Manu, and they ended up being world class players elsewhere, winning Champions Leagues elsewhere, that would
mm.
that would make you want to tear your hair out as a United fan if that happened.
I'll tell you what, Anthony scored at the weekend.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think Betis lost 3-2, but he scored. Ah,
I'd heard that he got the second MVP in a row for Real Betis.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'll have to check the highlights of that. I did see the highlights of the first game. People said he got an assist, but it wasn't really an assist. Uh, his shot came off the keeper, and then it was a tap in. So
I think that n- if we manage to sell him, it's going to be extraordinarily hard given the wages that he's on, which is absolutely
mm,
absurd money to give him.
mhm.
Give him United basically give him what he go from 20 grand a week to 200 grand a week.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, he did. Yeah,
absolutely
I
ridiculous.
think yeah, yeah. Even if we sell him, it's going to have to be a thing where we probably have to cover part of the wages until that contract is up.
Yes, he did. He scored the opener
Yeah.
against Celta Vigo
Hmm.
in an away game which they lost. Yeah. So
Well, which is lovely stuff. It's good. It's good that he's making an impression.
yeah, I want to see Anthony and Rashford score as
Yeah.
many goals as possible in the
Yeah, I
next
want them to do
4
well. Yeah.
months.
Obviously, we're at half time now in the Villa game. Rashi's on the bench. I'm hoping he comes on in the second.
Yeah, like we're going to have a situation where anytime Rashford scores for Villa, all the ABUs are going to be in social media giving us stick about
Yeah.
oh Rashford's a brilliant player, your manager is just shit and all this sort of
Hmm.
stuff. But the more he scores, the happier I'll be because that means we've got a better chance of getting him off the books and getting
Definitely.
of banking
And
that 40 million and
also,
getting his wages off the
I
books.
don't begrudge any of the players that leave. Like, I want them to do well in that.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it's not really my concern, in it. Once they leave,
yeah,
it's one of those. Like, I don't wish bad on them.
but the most important thing is us banking that 40 million and getting his wages off the books. And
Definitely,
and
definitely.
the more he scores, the more chance
Well,
there is of that.
he has to really hit the ground running though for them to even consider that option.
Yeah, and the more he scores, the better chance there is of that
Hmm.
happening. And the same applies to Anthony too out there in Spain.
Definitely.
But I can see a club, being willing to pay, big wages to Rashford if they
Yeah.
feel that he's playing well. So if Rashford was to score 8 goals at Villa
Hmm.
in this period that he's there, not Aston Villa and some other clubs will think he's worth the wages on the 40 million. I
Hmm.
can't see a scenario where somebody's going to pay Anthony 200 grand a week. It ain't going to
Yeah.
happen.
To be honest, I'm surprised Betis are covering as much of his wages as they are. It works out to be what just under 170 a week they're covering, which is insane. Because their
Yeah.
second highest, well, their highest was Isco before Anthony arrived, and he was on about 100 grand a week.
And Aston Villa are paying at least 70% of Rashford's wages,
Hmm.
and depending on performances, that could go up to 90% of his wages, which is
Yeah.
this is really good negotiating by United actually, because in the
Hmm.
past we could never get anyone off the books because of wages, or even when we loaned people out, we were paying all of their wages under Woodward. So the fact that the current negotiating team can now get other clubs to pay the wages of players that we're loaning out, that's really good going because given the
Very much so.
size of the wages. Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah, I think obviously us as fans, like there's a bit of impatience and that. But when you actually look at what they're doing, I do see some positives.
Yeah, we're just a bit annoyed at the reason of ticket prices and
Hmm.
all the job losses and the cutting the spending in certain
But
areas.
even with that, they've shown that it's across board. They're cutting it everywhere. So I'm hoping they're stripping all of this down to slowly build it back up in the right way. So the disability fund and all these various things. I'm hoping eventually we will be in a position where that can come back.
Although I just read recently in the last few days from Mike Keegan in the Daily Mail, who covers the financial side of United,
Hmm.
very, very closely. He said that they've now abandoned their plans to cut the fund to the Disabled Supporters Trust, so that at least that's something.
Okay, well that's something. Yeah.
So obviously, with each area that they cut, there's going to be lobbying against it,
Hmm.
and on a few of those, they might give in and say, oh,
Yeah.
actually, yeah, that is a bit harsh. We're not going to do that, and it's not going to save us that
Hmm.
much money anyway. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
with saving 40 grand a year at United, what does that even do? It wouldn't even pay the wages of Tom Heaton, for sake.
Hmm.
Um,
He's on 45 a week.
yeah, that's a waste of money, complete waste of money.
Complete waste. I couldn't believe it when I looked into it. So yeah, Bayern is on 10 grand less than Tom Heaton.
And yeah, that's a joke.
Yeah,
Tom Heaton has barely played, and what has he
he,
been
he
here,
doesn't
3 years?
play. It is his fourth season. I don't think he played all the last season or this one. So yeah,
It's just chucking money away. I
he,
mean
he's
that.
had 2 or 3 appearances in total, but that was in his first 2 years. So yeah, you really are. You really, as a third keeper, you shouldn't be on more than like 20, I'd say.
So we're automatically going to get rid of the wages of Tom Heaton, Victor Lindelof, and
Mm-hmm.
Christian Eriksen in the summer. That's without doubt, unless we give them new
Lindy's on
contracts.
120, so that's going to
Yeah,
be off the books. Yeah, yeah, we're just pissing money away in it. So yeah, there's going to
Johnny
be big
Evans,
changes. Yeah, yeah,
Johnny Evans as well. He'll be going in the summer, I'm sure.
yeah, he'll be gone. Yeah, he's actually contributed though, so I don't mind too much what he's getting paid. I think he's on about 80, 85.
Yeah, hasn't played for quite a while now though.
Yeah, yeah, has been a little while. But either way, this was going to be his last year, wasn't it? So yeah, got to move on.
So I'm just going to finish with the player ratings. So Andre
Mm,
Onana for that horror show for the first goal,
mm,
we'd have to get a 3 out of 10. And lucky to get it. Lanny Yarrow, I thought had another really good game. Felt,
yeah,
yeah, I like him.
I was a little bit surprised as well. Carl. Like beforehand, I thought if anybody was going to get dropped in the back line, I thought it might be him. I was expecting Delit to start, to be honest. But
Yeah, interesting
yeah,
selection.
they showed faith in him. And yeah, another decent performance. You can
Yeah,
tell he's raw though, isn't it? That's the thing. Like obviously the potential's there, but he's very raw. So yeah, I'm always quite pleased when he has these good performances.
he makes great interventions using his
Hmm.
pace and his tackling ability. He made a
Yep.
great tackle against Crystal Palace, which obviously will be forgotten about because of the
Yeah, yeah.
result.
Because of the result, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
brilliant. It was so composed for somebody his age.
And his passing is pretty good as well, I
Hmm.
feel. And yeah, so I like his passion as well. Whenever his teammates score, he
Hmm.
gets really passionate about it and wants United to win. So he's really bought into the club and the project. He's not pining after Real Madrid or anything like that.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
fact, he even done the press conference with Ruben Amorim for one of the European games. So he speaks the language really well too.
Hmm.
Um, so it would be 7 for Leniaro. Maguire, I thought he was out of position for the goal we conceded. So he did score the winner, though. It was miles offside.
I
So
was just giggling to myself there as you said that because I was thinking, I was like, yeah, he was out of position on both ends
yeah,
for the goal conceded and for the goal scored.
but thanks to the linesman and the lack of VAR,
Yeah,
he gets a 6 out of 10.
yeah,
Would have been
yeah,
a
and
lot lower.
yeah, and he saved us from another half an hour of misery.
Yeah, where anything could have happened. Leicester could have went
Yeah,
2-1 up or anything.
absolutely.
Mazrahi, he made a brilliant tackle in that game as
Hmm.
well. I just seen a clip of it there on United's Instagram. I remember watching it live too. They had a counter attack, and he made a sliding tackle, which he had.
Yes, yeah. Oh my days. Oh, how did we not touch on that? God, the fact that that came from our corner was absolutely disgraceful. Bruno's ball in and they counter us, and I was just thinking, I was like, if it was better opposition, imagine. I mean, not that we have to imagine these days because we don't get into the top competition in Europe. Imagine if you'd done that against somebody like Real Madrid and you had like Vinny and Mbappe chasing that ball down. It's game over, isn't it? It's game over.
Yeah, you'd be you'd be punished by the quality teams.
Yeah, yeah. No, unbelievable. He didn't even get booked. It was just very well timed,
Yeah,
Masraoui. But yeah, last line of defense. But yeah, that should never happen. That from that corner, set pieces. Ah, it's a real issue. That.
yeah. I think we have the set pieces coach that was
Hmm.
there under Ten Hag, who I think he was only brought in the summer, and
Mm.
he's still there, but he's been sidelined. And I think it's Carlos Fernandez who's taken over the set pieces under Amorim. But I have to be honest, we've got worse since Carlos Fernandez took over. Do you ever
Hmm.
notice any time we have a set piece, be it
Yeah,
attacking or defending, Amorim sits down and Carlos
yeah.
Fernandez comes out to the technical area
Hmm.
to give instructions, but it's not working. You
No.
know, so they need to sort that out. But Mizrahi gets a 7 from me.
Hmm.
Patrick Durgu only played the first half, but a really promising debut on the wrong side of the pitch. So
Yep.
a very very young player. So
Yeah, and yeah, it was just a tactical decision, so it doesn't really speak to him or anything that he did as to why he got hooked at halftime.
and yeah, so given his age and taking everything into account, I would give him a 7 for that debut.
Yeah.
Um, Manuel Ugarte got his customary booking in the game.
Customary yellow card. Yeah.
You know what? He done a Lissandro Martinez tackle. He jumped in with two
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah.
Lucky
Yeah.
he didn't make contact with the opposing player.
Very much so.
South Americans are wild, aren't they?
Hmm.
Do you remember the Marcus Rojo tackles that he got away with?
Yeah. Yeah.
The leg
Insane.
breakers. Yeah.
Insane.
Mm. So I give him a 6. Bruno Fernandez again. I thought he had a very very average game, and there were points in the game where his passing was really sloppy in the final
Hmm.
third. Was one of the pulled my hair out, but again he comes up with an assist for the winner. How many times has
Hmm.
he done that, even though
Yeah.
it was offside? Where he has an average or a poor game, and then he either assists or
Hmm.
scores a winner. Again, he done it against Rangers as well, and he just keeps doing it. So I give him a 6. Diogo Dallo struggled again on that left hand side. I just remember it really stuck in my head where he cut in on his right foot and he tried to pass the ball across field and he just gave it away. He just like, just stop playing him in that position. It's just not happening for him. Uh, yeah, and defensively, he just gets nowhere near his man. And anytime the opposition attack down his side, the cross is going to come in and
Hmm.
the centre backs are going to be under pressure because he doesn't block anything. So
Nope.
yeah, it would be a 4 for Diogo Dallo. Amad Diallo, probably not by his standards, probably not the greatest game that he said for
Hmm.
Manchester United. Well, I won't say it was poor, but I suppose we expect so much from him. He didn't have the impact that Garnacho had. Let's say, it
No.
wasn't a
No.
standout performance.
Yeah.
So we'll give him a 6. Rasmus Højlund struggled again. Um, just this the usual performance. There's no need to go into detail. Everybody knows what a Rasmus Højlund
Yeah.
performance looks like nowadays.
I mean, even the Xerxes goal, when you really think about it, Hoyland, it didn't really mean to make its way to to Xerxes.
Yeah. Mm. He At least he had a shot on goal there. I know
Yeah.
that's something. He was in a good position, I suppose, for the
Hmm.
cross, but it it was not even close to going in. So a 4 for Rasmus Højlund. Kobe Manu substituted again. Um, who come on for Kobe Manu? It was Joshua Xerxes, yeah, and obviously Xerxes did better than him. So
Hmm.
unfortunately, I'd have to give Manu a 5. He
Yeah.
had a great game in Bucharest, but I feel that he's been poor since then.
And
Playing as
also, again, you have to look at the opposition in it. I mean, it's Bucharest.
mm,
So it's one thing playing 10 and being comfortable on the ball against them, but, in the Premier League, or against Premier League opposition, should I say, it's different kettle of fish. Um, and
so
this was actually a decent level up because obviously, because they're near the bottom of the league as well. But even then, it kind of highlights the deficiencies, and why he's not able to do it just yet.
yeah, in the Europa League, we might be able to get away with playing him as a
Hmm.
10. let's see, if we're playing Midtjylland, then happy
Yeah.
for him to play that position again. But Midtjylland have got a tough tie, I think, to get through before we even think about,
Sociedad, I think.
yeah, Galatasaray playing Ezel Alkmaar, is it? Yeah.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, the favourites for those two ties would be Galatasaray and Real Sociedad, and those are the
Yeah,
two
yeah.
teams that I don't
Both,
want to get.
yeah, both teams that would probably struggle against.
Yeah. So I'd love to get revenge in Galatasaray for last season's debacle.
Aye, aye, aye. Hopefully with Bayern there back.
Mm.
You can forget about revenge if we start an honor. It was
Oh,
his personal mission last season to get us knocked out of Europe.
yeah, that was absolutely brutal. And
Yeah,
Galatasaray have Victor Osimhen this season, as we've talked
yeah,
about
yeah.
many
They
times.
picked up Alvaro Morata as well on loan in Jan
Mm,
with
yeah,
Icardi out. So yeah, they've got firepower.
it's worrying. Mhm.
Hmm.
But we haven't drawn them yet. We'll worry about it if we draw
No,
them.
no, yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll worry about it next round.
So, unusually not many subs in this game, but the two that played as a significant portion of the game did have a big impact. Garnacho, the man of the match for his 45 minutes, come on for Patrick Dorgu at half time. Wasn't even close. It was very, very easy for Lee Dixon, I think, to give him man of the match. And
Hmm.
so he would get an 8 out of 10. And Joshua Xerxes, I give him a 7 because he scored. And hopefully he can get more goals. Hopefully it's not another 6 weeks before he scores again.
Hmm.
Very calm and composed finish in the right place at the right time. And Casemiro only had a cameo. I think come on for Manuel Ugarte after
He
94 minutes.
he got sympathy minutes. He did.
Yeah, that's all he's getting nowadays.
Yeah,
He must be so disappointed
yeah.
that
Those are the kind of minutes you give to your youth players who are just there.
he must be so disappointed that Ruud van Nistelrooy didn't get the job to the end
Oh,
of the season.
definitely, yeah, yeah, because he was a mainstay under Rude.
And you see them embracing each other in the tunnel.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, he must be gutted about that.
Mhm.
Mm. But yeah, there's another big wage packet that we need to get rid of in the summer.
Yes, huge. I mean, he is the top earner at the club.
On Ruben Amorim, I tell you what, I'm only going to give him a 5 for this game because we got out of jail with the offside goal, and he
Yeah.
played Dorgu and Dallo on the wrong sides of the pitch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I don't think he covered himself in glory in this game.
And although we believe in him and believe that he's the right man, he's not immune
Mhm.
from criticism.
No, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And obviously, it was his decision as well, from the comments he made, to not bring anybody in. So again, we have to critique these things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, long way to the next game against Spurs in
Yep,
7 days
yep.
from now.
I'm actually going to enjoy the break, to be honest.
Yeah, there's almost no midweek games to the very
No,
end of
no.
February when we play Ipswich on
Yeah,
a Wednesday night at 7:30.
yeah.
So make sure United fans not to get caught out by the kickoff time against Ipswich on, I
Mhm.
think it's Wednesday the 26th of February. It's 7:30 in the evening. Not very many
Mm.
games kick off at that time
Very
anymore.
strange. Yeah, yeah.
So we'll wrap it up there. Please everybody like the video if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening or watching, and get some comments in and a reply to as many of those as possible. And we will see you again after the Spurs game, Brush.
Yep. Catch you next time. Take care.